Nightmares, the unseen enemy of World War II soldiers. Imagine fighting the enemy by day, only to be ambushed by them in your dreams by night. For countless World War II soldiers, the battlefield extended far beyond the trenches, into the darkest corners of their minds. What unseen torment haunted these heroes, and how did they battle an enemy that never truly left them, even after the war was over? A hidden torment endured by World War II soldiers is explored, revealing the profound and often overlooked psychological battles fought far from the front lines. The lasting impact of these unseen enemies on the minds of those who served is unveiled, providing a deeper understanding of the true cost of war. The invisible scars of war. Beyond the thunder of explosions and the roar of gunfire lay another kind of wound, one no medic could treat, no bandage could cover. It wasn't shrapnel that tore these men apart. It was memory. During the First World War, doctors called it shell shock. Some believed it was caused by the concussive force of exploding shells, a physical injury to the brain. Others dismissed it cruelly as weakness, labeling the afflicted as cowards or deserters. But when the world went to war again in 1939, something deeper was revealed. The battle didn't just scar the body, it rewired the mind. Fear, grief, and guilt became constant companions that clung to soldiers long after the fighting stopped. Private Charles J. Miller of the U.S. Army wrote home in 1944 saying, "It's not the bullets I fear anymore. It's the silence afterward." That's when the voices came back. For some, the mind became a battlefield of its own. A British infantry soldier described how he would freeze at the sound of thunder, convinced it was artillery. He said, "Every sound feels like a warning. You can't sleep. You can't think. Your nerves are stretched thin, like a wire ready to snap." In field hospitals, doctors saw men trembling uncontrollably, unable to speak, or staring into space for hours. They called it combat fatigue. But few truly understood that what they were witnessing was symptoms of trauma, the mind's desperate attempt to survive the unbearable. One U.S. Army psychiatrist noted in his journal during the Battle of the Bulge. He wrote, "They don't bleed, they don't break, but you can see the war burning behind their eyes." These were not men who lacked courage. They had already faced death. What haunted them were the moments that followed. The faces of friends they couldn't save, the screams that echoed in their dreams, the guilt of surviving when others didn't. The real enemy was now inside their own minds, an invisible force that stalked them through every memory, every dream, every heartbeat. How do you fight an enemy that never sleeps? How do you silence a war that continues to rage inside you? When the gunfire stopped and the camps went quiet, another kind of battle began. Sleep, once a refuge from exhaustion, became a trap. For many soldiers, the war waited for them in the dark. Nightmares weren't just dreams, they were relived memories, stitched together by fear, guilt, and grief. Men woke screaming, clutching at invisible enemies, their hearts pounding as if bullets still flew around them. In a letter, Private William S. Tanner wrote, "Every night it's the same. I'm back in that trench. The sky lights up, and I can smell the smoke, hear the cries. When I open my eyes, I still see them lying there beside me." Doctors called it combat fatigue, but the soldiers knew it by another name, the night terror. Another British soldier confessed to his comrade that he feared the night more than any battlefield. "I can handle the enemy out there," he whispered, "but not the one in the mind." Sleep deprivation became its own weapon of war. Some soldiers refused to close their eyes, terrified of what waited behind them. They smoked through the night, whispered prayers, or sat staring into the darkness until dawn. A U.S. Army psychiatrist treating the 101st Airborne Division once described it like this: "Their bodies were still, but their minds were still fighting. Every time they slept, they went back to war. The lack of rest broke them down. piece by piece, nerves frayed, tempers shortened, eyes hollowed by sleepless nights. Even the bravest began to crumble under the weight of invisible battles no one else could see. No medal, no speech, no victory could erase what the night held. The war had moved inside their dreams. And there, it never ended. It became the battle within the mind. Morning should have brought peace, but for many soldiers, waking up was just another kind of battle. Their minds, once sharp, disciplined, and ready for command, had turned against them. They jumped at the sound of footsteps. A slammed door could send them diving for cover. And the smell of smoke or fuel could trigger memories so vivid, it was as if the war had never ended. In his diary, Corporal Joseph Halpin, who served in the Pacific, wrote, "I can't tell when I'm safe anymore. Yesterday, I hit the ground because someone dropped a plate. Everyone laughed, but I couldn't. My body moved before my mind did." Some soldiers forgot how to laugh. Some forgot how to feel at all. They became shadows of the men who had marched to war, physically alive, but mentally still fighting. Doctors tried everything: rest, electric therapy, and even hypnosis. But the nightmares and flashbacks returned, relentless as the war itself. And because few understood trauma back then, many soldiers were told to man up, or worse, accused of cowardice. A British sergeant named Thomas Rees confessed to his nurse, "The war is over, miss, but it won't let me go." Some turned to alcohol, others to silence. A few wandered off, unable to face what waited in their own minds. Modern medicine would later call it post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. But back then, it had no name strong enough to capture the torment. No one could see the enemy they were fighting, not even them. War doesn't end when the shooting stops. For countless soldiers, the battlefield followed them home and lived on inside their minds. Homecoming should have brought relief. Instead, many faced another kind of isolation. The war had changed how they slept, how they loved, how they lived. Some lost jobs. Others lost families. Most lost the version of themselves that had left for war. Only decades later would the world begin to understand that what they endured was more than shell shock. It was post-traumatic stress, a deep fracture of the mind left by unbearable memories. The soldiers of World War II became the unwitting teachers of modern psychology. Their pain helped shape the science that now saves lives. War is more than blood and victory. It is the silence that follows, the dreams that won't fade, the tears no one sees. To honor those who fought, we must remember not only their courage, but their suffering. Because for many, the real battle began when the war was over.